Okay, so this is the second day drinking, and I'm with Amochip Dabney.
I pronounce it Amo.
Amo.
There is some discrepancy and some clarifications necessary because people do come up to me still
Do they?
and call me Amos.
Oh, really?
They call me Amo.
Amo.
They call it the Amosphere, which it is not. It is the Amosphere, and I pronounce my name Amo with a long A.
Amo. Okay, cool. So how did I pronounce it? I said Amo, right?
You shorten the A a little bit.
Ammo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Amosphere.
like ammo.
Amo get
Cool.
you.
Yeah, no.
Amo tell you my name.
And we're here with his partner, Jill Nunez. And I don't know if you know, if you don't know Jill, one of the cool things, and we're kind of supposed to be kind of looking up there, but Mello told me I need to put a finger there for everyone to look at. We just haven't done that yet. And Jill is a volunteer with Border Action Network and is on staff with Border Action Network and has been involved in border issues in Tucson for a long time and arts and all sorts of great stuff. And if you see Amo at any of the shows, Jill's usually there dancing in the corners, which isn't very difficult to do.
Helping coordinate things.
That's right.
Integral part.
She is an integral part, which is very cool, and probably one of the biggest moments, which is awesome too. It's very nice. So I started. Let's first off, I asked everyone to pick a place to come, and you picked the Boondocks. You want to say why you picked the Boondocks?
Well, it's one of my favorite bars, and I don't mean that I don't enjoy all the places that we play, but it's like a real neighborhood bar, and it used to be my neighborhood when I first moved to Tucson, so it was one of the original places I sort of hooked up.
That's cool.
I like the way that they run the place and how long they've been in the business of providing local live music, real dedication to that. It has a great vibe.
There's a lot of truth in that because I think Kathy has been a part of, a part of the community that not just ending at Boondocks too, which I think people have really appreciated. And I think it's a cool. It's not like a dive per se, but it's a good day drinking place. That's for sure. I think.
I mean, feel this place. Hear that?
So we're having is having a Corona. We're having some spicy Bloody Marys.
Beer with a lime in it.
Yeah, let's not. We won't give them any. That's a good point.
But unless you guys want to meet one of the least interesting people in the world.
No, right. No. So I'm a big fan, which I'm really glad that you said yes to doing the second one. I feel like everybody's like a big guinea pig right now to agreeing to do this to begin with, but which is really cool. And I love going to the shows. You have a really great following, a really cool following the Amosphere does. People really come out. They love you guys and they get excited about the shows. And I know people come down to Phoenix to see you. Not that but if I lived in Phoenix, I'd come down to Tucson to see music any day of the week anyway. But to begin with.
Right.
So I think that's kind of cool. And so I thought maybe you could start off by, let's go back to, I know you played football before you became a musician, or maybe I misunderstand that story. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Well, my sports was my first love, all the way back to like 4 years old in New Jersey. And baseball was the first game I really was attracted to because my mother was and still is a large baseball fan. She lives out in the Bay Area. She's rooting for both the Giants and the A's.
Oh,
and of course, the Giants are in the World Series, and tonight is Game 7. So she and I will both be tuned into that. She in front of the TV and me on DVR delay. So don't tell me the score. But, and baseball was really fun for a long time, and played Little League and was the standout, and had a chance to meet Larry Doby, who was, along with Jackie Robinson, a groundbreaker for African Americans in the major leagues. Jackie was the first one to go, and then Larry Doby was the first African American to play in the American leagues. Jackie was the National League, and he was with the Cleveland Indians. So that was, an inspiration thing for me to stay with baseball. Of course, they say, you have a lot of talent, stay with it, you try.
Right.
But my brother and I were so crazy about baseball that we would be outside in January playing a full game against each other. And my mother would say, guys, there's other sports in the world. And she said, yes, football and basketball. So my brother gyrated toward basketball. My brother Mike, my only brother. And he was really good at basketball, so he stayed with that. And I went into football. And I was really good at football, so it just took over.
Where did you go to play football?
Well, I started playing in New Jersey with Pop Warner thing. Then I went to Michigan. I started playing in high school, and we moved to Port Huron, Michigan. So I played varsity ball in Port Huron, Michigan. Then I got a scholarship to a large institution in Michigan, which we will not name at this particular time. Suffered a knee injury, a career-ending knee injury, and nothing was done about it. So I was pretty upset about it. And my career was over. I was a freshman on a scholarship, full scholarship, track and football. I was one of those 4 or 5 40-yard dash guys in 1972, Big Ten school. And so at that point, I had my patella was severed from my upper and lower tendons, and it was lodged in my left thigh. And so, you have to be insured to play big time football.
Right.
And so I couldn't be insured anymore. So, it was over.
Right.
Along with that was the track career.
Right.
Because you lose speed. Still faster than a lot of guys on the street. But you're not competing.
I was talking with someone about that recently, about amateurism and how these kids get put into playing for colleges, and the colleges are making tons of money. And when you get injured, you are not offered any protections, really.
There's no consolation prize.
There's nothing.
What generally happens is that if you're able to stay in school and stay on the scholarship if you want to, but if you choose to go away, they of course recycle all that money into the next guy up.
Right.
So right now the NCAA is trying to deal with some issues because the players are starting to organize players and demand a union to get better representation. Because again, a lot of guys, the last place they'll get to play real serious football is in college, not because they're not good enough to go pro, but because of an injury.
Right.
And your life has changed at that point. And again, the universities, the schools, the clubs, they all benefit greatly from your talent, your effort, and at the same time, there's absolutely no compensation for you beyond your education in school, which,
So was music, I think you're just a fantastic musician. And to me, I guess I never thought of you, I didn't know the football story, so I never thought of you as being, a jock. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
So how did music, enter this picture? I'm really curious. Was there music all along?
We still watch football every Sunday. She is a Seahawks fan.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I love it. It's great. You shut the doors, pull down the blinds. We're not home.
Do you guys make snacks or anything like that?
We order pizza or something.
Okay.
We get silly. But in 5th grade in Newark, New Jersey, I was, we had a music teacher there, and he came to our class, and he wanted to teach us about, all the different things, all the different types of music and stuff, because we were inner city kids. We just knew what we heard on AM radio. It's like 1965.
Yeah.
And Mr. Whites came in, and he said, I'm going to, play some music, and I want you guys to try to tell me what instrument it was. Well, short story, even shorter, I nailed a bunch of them. He said, okay, somebody other than this guy. So he came to me and said, well, what's your music background? I go, well, my mom plays stuff around the house. I pay attention. I don't really do anything. He said, well, come down and try out for the Glee Club.
Glee Club?
And I'm playing football. I'm a middle linebacker. The Glee Club. So I did. And he said,
that really happens. Jocks are recruited to be on the Glee Club? I thought that was only on TV.
The NFL, no. The Glee Club section. We didn't just have a keyboard player do it on one more board. They still all had a bass player. So in order to work, I said, well, I think I'll teach myself bass. And so it did, and then, of course, I'm a left-handed bass player.
Right.
I write with my left hand, but I throw with my right hand, and so basically I'm a confused individual. And
I never thought about that. When I see you playing, it makes sense to me you play bass for your band, because I think that's one of the things that I've always heard from people I know that lead bands is that finding a good bass player is a big pain in the butt, and So it's like, well, good, lucky you. You get to be the
Well,
incredible bass player.
Bass players work because, again, just about all the live, the dance bands or the bands that are trying to provide entertainment, to move a lot of people, have a bass player.
Right.
And it's a fun position in the band. Like when you're in school or you're learning or you're in an orchestra, you're playing a part.
Right.
And there's no alto part for, 32 bars, 82 bars, 112 bars. Or if Beethoven wrote it and there's no alto part at all. You're just sitting there, trying to look cool.
Yeah, right.
Remember how every time you see the horn players when they're not playing,
they're like doing a little
trying to look cool.
It's true.
Wear hats. But, so
down steps.
So I went to the bass because I really wanted to work a lot. And I was still playing sports and starting to play music, but in a little town like that, there was a lot of work for a decent band.
Right.
So I became more of a bass player and really basically put the alto sax down. And those were the two instruments I was really comfortable, performing publicly.
My favorite root song.
I like that band too.
I do too.
Our standard joke, and if I say it now, I guess I'll give it up. I won't say it. But we play good, and we are not really genre specific.
Yeah.
We like stuff from New Orleans because a lot of the bands out here aren't doing that. And I've been there a couple times, and it's an amazing city for music. And so, we try to bring that culture out in our performances with songs like Treme and Wild Chapatulas, which was first done by the Neville Brothers, written by Cheryl Neville and Norman Sleeper. And then, Congo Square, we do a lot. Yellow Moon is sort of a signature piece that the Amosphere closes the show with quite often. What else do we do?
You do some reggae.
Yes, I forgot about that.
You do some more of the stuff for
the blues,
blues, original songs.
You name it. We're doing rock, jazz, blues. We have some Latin stuff. We do original material.
But I think it's good to note that you're not like, I would put it this way, and I don't know if it's because I've got musicians in my family, so I feel really strongly about this, but they're not just this isn't just a cover band, and Amos not just a leader of a cover band per se. I mean, this is someone who has written some wonderful original music. He's Grammy nominated albums too. There we go. So let's talk about that.
I'm glad you asked.
Anytime.
Here's the deal. 2 years in a row, I was very, very fortunate. And you have to be because it's a turkey shoot to go to the Grammys as a finalist but for records that I produced and engineered and recorded in my home studio in a 9x9 room in a house I had here in Tucson. And you're sitting there and you're doing this, you're taking all this time. The first one was called People of Peace. It was with the R. Carlos Mackay Quartet, and it was in the 2005 finals. And, I spent a year on the record, painstakingly going through all this stuff with everybody. And you send it out there and the record company says, okay, yeah, we like it, we'll put it out. And you go, okay, first hurdle, they like it.
Right.
So they released it, and then, later you get a call and they say, are you sitting down? Here it comes. I'm fired. And they say, you're going to the show. And this is Canyon Records that released the record. And it's a tremendous feeling of acceptance and accomplishment that something you labored over is going to be recognized with a bunch of other things at that level. And so, we lost. And it was over. And I went back to work the next year and I was hired by an artist named Gentle Thunder to do the same for her. Can I come to your studio? Can I record at your house? And will you co-produce with her? And Will Clipman, who I'm still playing with. And we made a record for her called Beyond Words. And this time when Canyon called, I was sitting down. They said, guess what? You're going back to the show. So, we lost. But 2 years in a row out of something you made in your 9x9.
Yeah.
That was the real thrill for me individually. Of course, when you go to the Staples Center in LA and they give you the medal and give you the dinner, put it in a little Tiffany bag and,
Hey.
put it on a ribbon and stuff so you don't lose it because, it's a long day. But
That's pretty cool.
you get to talk to all these other contemporaries. So Herbie Hancock said, hey, man, congratulations. Herbie, I'm not washing his hand again. Damian Marley's, all these people are there. And you get a chance to sort of feel that vibe with those other artists. So it's a cool event.
That's cool. That really is. The other thing I think is worth noting is, well, here actually let's step back from that stuff. But one of the things I've had conversations with you about before, and we're kind of getting close to the time clock, is we talked about what it's like to be a working musician in Tucson and getting gigs and finding places and venues, and it seems like it's getting harder sometimes, isn't it? And tell me a little bit about the challenge of getting gigs. And you guys should be working all the time as far as I'm concerned, but what's the deal?
There's a political question there because there are several factors contributing to the state of the gigs right now. The market we are in, this quote-unquote recession is part of it. The fact that we're an older band playing to an older age group, which has started to...
Excuse me?
No, I didn't...
Jeez, man. It's all right. I feel old sometimes.
You? You're a spring chicken.
No.
Another spring chicken. Old goat. But, the market's changed. The DUI task force keeps people home or leaving early. So they'll come in early and they'll go home early. So you don't have the same buzz. The younger crowd in a college town has a place where, they have 4th Avenue and they tend to go down there. They made every possible approach to facilitate them getting there and home safely, whereas the other places you have to drive to.
Right. That's true.
The money that's available to guarantee a band has changed over the years, and so you're competing with each other. One of the issues that you find is that if you have a certain crowd, are you going to get them out 3 nights in a row?
Right.
So you have to kind of navigate, where you are. If you're going to be, on the east side and then right on the east side the very next night, the proximity might diminish your crowd. So
there's a lot of weird little things to always be thinking about.
It's like any business. If you have a restaurant, you're competing with,
That's interesting.
Another restaurant, they put a Burger King here and then boom, there's McDonald's across the street or mom and pop. So you have to, you really find yourself being very appreciative of the fans you have.
Right.
And when you're playing, when people come in to see you, whether they know you or it's the first time they've walked in, I feel like this is true with everybody in the Amosphere and several of the units I play with. We all feel like we really want to give you our all. We are really going to play like it's our last gig for you because we want you to come back and we want to have that vibe of community.
You just reminded me of that new thing that's going on over at Steve I's place, the Galactic Center. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of new space, too. And it's with Torrini and some
I'm in another unit, which I'll mention quickly because, I know I talk too much. But the group is called Temenos. It's a Greek word. Look it up. And we did a show at the Galactic Center in August 12th, I believe, or 20th. And September 20th, anyway. It was really well received. We're doing the poetry and original lyrics and stuff, and all the music is original. It's Heidi Wilson on saxophone and voice. It's Torin A. Wolf, who's written, she's the principal composer in the group, on guitar, voice, and poetry. Myself on bass and vocals, and Will Clipman on percussion.
Yeah.
So it's a real hearty crew. It's again
been around the black crew. Some good local folks, it's for sure. Yeah. No, it's really cool. And you guys are going to be coming up pretty soon again, right?
No, we have another show in March of 2015. But the group is rehearsing to record right now, so we're going to make a product. We're going to make a record.
Cool.
I think they're trying to figure out the way to create a crowdfunding sort of page to generate the funds to do this
To make
next
that
project.
happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So look for that.
That's really cool. What do you love about living in Tucson and working in Tucson?
4 knee surgeries, triple digits, folks. When it's 102 degrees, I'm in the yard. There's a lot of things I like about Tucson. I was living in California, in San Francisco, in the 80s. I was touring through here, like 86, I believe. It was the first time that a group I was playing with called Oji Ekomode and the Nigerian All-Stars. Like somewhere between a 10 to 18-piece band of West Coast African was called Juju. Very, very popular band. Great unit. But we came through Tucson for the first time, and we had, played Flagstaff and Phoenix. I think we played Gallup, maybe even Yuma, and then we arrived at the Oasis in the desert. We got to Tucson, and the crowd that came out to see us at an old place called the Tucson Gardens, they were all like-minded. You'd have a conversation with someone, and you really didn't have to explain a lot of what you were talking about because they were aware of African music. They, they liked all kinds of music, world music. So they dressed right, they danced all night long. And again, talking to people was like, I really like.
What year was this?
85, maybe.
So it was
84.
probably like that same crowd that was doing those really great reggae shows at the El Casino Ballroom, right?
Funny you should mention
Yeah,
because
I
Gary Washington, who's up in Phoenix now, had an organization called Old Pueblo Productions.
Right.
And they were promoters, and they were bringing the third world acts to Tucson. So he and I sat in the back at the Tucson Garden and got acquainted, and then we went off on a little road trip together. He followed us up to Fresno, but we hung out for a while, and we just hit it off. So he said, I want to book you guys.
Yeah.
I said, I want you to book us. So he would always bring us
into
to Tucson. We started playing the El Casino Ballroom, Old Mud Bugs,
Oh yeah.
before
Those were great shows. I mean, I loved. I think I saw Jimmy Cliff there for the first time.
You did.
Yeah.
You probably did because when I moved down here in '90, Gary and I were working together. He had me working with his company, and Jimmy Cliff was his biggest. He said Jimmy Cliff affords the rest of my year. So he could bring Fela Kuti and the Molly Queens and different acts that were somewhat more obscure than Jimmy Cliff. Because
it was a crowded show.
Jimmy would get us that.
It was awesome. Well, Amo, thanks. We're way over our time, but I don't care that you talk a lot. It's good.
Let's ask Jill. Jill, what do you think about this?
Jill has hand signals, but you just can't see them. She's just sitting over there. I've been ignoring it. It's kind of letting her. You'll see it on video when you get to watch it.
Well, this was fun.
All right.
I'm glad you asked us, to be here and to do this.
I'm glad you did too. It's always good to be part of my evil plotting. All right, Tucson.
Love you, Tucson.
Adios.